Hi, my name is Mwende and you're watching The Sato Stage. Today I want to talk about patriarchy and matriarchy, how we are existing in a patriarchal consciousness, how we got in there, and how we can actually get out of the patriarchal system, right? And specifically, I want to delve deep into the patriarchy, because generally that's the system that majority of us humans have been co-opted into. And so I will delve into the patriarchy, and then we will talk about matriarchy and exactly what it means, and which one exactly are we supposed to be operating in, right? So let me start by defining patriarchy, and I'm going to read what the Oxford Dictionary is describing. So patriarchy is a system of society or government in which the father or the eldest male is the head of the family and descent is reckoned through the male line. So a further description is like a society or a system of society or government in which men hold power and women are largely excluded from it. Take a point on that. The men hold power and the women are largely excluded from it. We are going to dissect that and see how exactly we got into that and exactly how women in modern societies are upholding patriarchy without even realizing. The other point is that it's a society or a community organized on patriarchal lines. So here we have a patriarchy being a society where the men are holding the power and they largely exclude the women. Now let's read the matriarchy. It's a system of society or government ruled by a woman or women. And it's a form of social organization in which descent or relationship are reckoned through the female line. Or a state of being, it's a state of being an older, powerful woman in a family or in a group. So just by reading those two definitions, there's something that is critically different when you look at these two definitions. It doesn't mean the same thing. So when you're talking about matriarchy and patriarchy, we are literally talking about two different things. It's not an opposite of the other. And I think the main difference is coming in the part where it's a system where the definition says it's a system of society or government in which men hold power. Like look at the words that are being used. The men hold power and women are largely excluded from it. Look at the difference. It says that it's a system of government ruled by a woman or women, or a form of social organization in which descent or relationship is reckoned through the female line, or just there being a powerful older woman. Usually it's an older woman, a powerful woman in a group or in a family. So essentially, patriarchy is not really the opposite of matriarchy. Patriarchy, there's a sense of taking power. So in this definition, it generally shows that a patriarch is not naturally supposed to be having power, because it generally means it is holding power and then excluding the women, excluding the actual power, the actual the actual sources of power, or actually the actual houses of power. They take away from the women, from the matriarch, and hold it. And once they hold it, it's very important that they exclude the females and the women. So generally, matriarchy is actually the natural order of things. When you think about societies that are organized in terms of the women actually are the ones that are leading. The elderly women, like in African societies, you find that the oldest women that the grandmother of the homestead is actually the one who actually housed power. And all decisions, it's almost like it was a strategic position, that of a grandmother. And in societies where you have the female being the ones that are in charge, or being the ones that are the most powerful, then you have a society that is actually organized in the natural order of things. But then what happened? How did it turn around to be that the patriarchy is now the one that is holding power, and on top of that it excludes the powerhouses, that is the matriarchs. It excludes them greatly, or mainly excludes them in the system of power. We see, if we can really go back into history and just way back prehistorical times, we see how exactly patriarchy was established on Earth. If we go back to the times when people lived on the face of the earth, there was no, it organized based on the oldest. The oldest member of the community always used to be a female. And especially when you look at the legends that have been told, it's that everybody came from a woman. When you look at the earth itself, the earth is gendered as a female based on its characteristics. It is bearing forth life, it is nurturing life, it literally is female. Everything on earth, the soil, the water, is gendered as female. But then what happened? When did that turn around, and when were we put in patriarchal consciousness? For me, I would generally go back to the Abrahamic religions. And by Abrahamic religions, I'm literally talking about all religions that stem from the Abraham. And how, or Jacob. Abraham is the guy that gave birth to Jacob. And so we have these people that are called Israel. Because Jacob's name was changed to become Israel. That is, when you look at the end of that name El, it denotes Elohim, and we have stories of Elohim recorded in the Bible. But these are stories that come from way before the Bible was written, and we see that there is a group of individuals. Let's call them individuals because I don't want to call them humans, because they are not non-human, that descend on earth and find that the earth is completely devastated by a cataclysm, like a big flood. And so they terraform the earth, and it's actually documented even in the Bible and in the Quran and all these other holy books. And they terraform the earth and bring it into, like they bring it into a planet that is actually habitable. But then what happens? The story is told of how the first man is created. And actually the Bible also defines how we always talk about Adam being like the first man that was created, but there are so many Adams that were created before, so that it was like Adam, literally Adamu. That's actually the actual word, the actual term that was used in that language. That Adamu is created, and actually the intention for creating Adamu was to create workers, to create people that would be able to help with mining of gold and all that. So literally the beings that descended on earth, they literally came to take away from the earth. Remember, the earth is female, right? And everything that was existed on earth, it came from a woman, and the women were generally by the fact of them being the oldest in terms of genetically, the oldest, even if it's a child, even if it's a young girl, this person holds genomes from ancient of time. So from the fact that the women were literally the first that ever came to be, or the female is the first that ever came to be, so you find that that is the oldest. And being the eldest, then that means that this is the order of power and the order of the natural order of things is that the woman or the feminine is literally the one that actually is housing power. It's a powerhouse. But then we have this consciousness that now is coming from outer space. And the Bible actually records how the Elyon is like the more powerful of the powerful ones. So some people have described Elohim to mean the powerful ones, but then Elyon would be the one that is higher than the powerful ones. So he is literally apportioning parts of the earth to the sons, the sons of God, but generally is the sons of Elohim. And these are is apportioning certain parts of the earth to these Elohims. And so it ends up to be that there is this character is called Yahweh. Yahweh is actually given the family of Jacob. That one you'll find it in Deuteronomy 32. Yahweh is given the family of Jacob, and actually the problem with what happened is that Yahweh is given a family that is landless. The Jacob family was wandering around, so they did not have actual land. And so this was a bit of a bad situation or a road deal that the Yahweh character got. And so we see how Yahweh now goes ahead and wants to apportion his people land. That means that he's removing indigenous people from their lands and giving to a people that were landless or homeless, so to speak. And so we have now a consciousness that is completely out of this world, out of our earth. It's like we have a consciousness where it's called what? The most powerful is now becoming the male, because Yahweh is actually represented as a father, right? And so he orchestrates a system which now we are still under. He orchestrates a system where the man is at the top. And actually, the man being at the top, the man cannot get at the top just peacefully. The man has to, or the patriarch has to assault his way to the top. That's where the definition, it says itself that it literally holds power, and holding power means that this is not something that it's something that involves violence. We see a very violent description of what exactly was happening. There is a lot of punishment for not obeying this Yahweh. Whatever the Yahweh wants to be done has to be obeyed. And so righteousness is literally described as doing what has been prescribed by Yahweh. We see a part where the king Saul is instructed to completely kill and alienate people that are in a place called Ai, and he doesn't follow the instruction, and that really grants him a terrible punishment just from not following what the Yahweh is saying. So there is a complete switch where it's no longer, people are not longer going naturally. You're not being guided naturally. You are now having to follow rules that are not intrinsic in you. There is coming a time when the women, when you look at the Abrahamic religions, the women are completely excluded. Let me say excluded in a way that is It's almost like they don't exist. They are completely stamped out. So for me, when we are living in the current world that we're living in, how are we able to see that patriarchal system playing out in the civilizations? For me, I call them Abrahamic civilizations. I stopped calling them Abrahamic religions because when you talk about religions, it is very easy for us to get lost in saying, oh, I'm non-religious or whatnot. These are civilizations. So when the Yahweh conscious, the Yahweh character is instituting the patriarchal system, he literally is creating civilizations that are centered on men being at the top. And the problem with that is that that's not the natural way of life. That means that they have to assault nature. They have to literally assault the woman to be able to actually take that position and hold the power. And so we have a reality right now that is just about assaulting the woman. When we talk about the woman, when we talk about, for instance, the earth is completely assaulted because people are digging out the earth to get minerals. People are digging out the earth to archaeology, in the name of archaeology. People are polluting the rivers. That's a woman. They are literally polluting the woman. Look at what is happening to the human female. When I look at even the language of the Abrahamic civilizations and the Western civilization being part of it, even the Oriental civilization also being part of it. So that's why I don't like to call it like I used to call it the West. But when you call it the West, you're excluding the civilization in the Arab world. You're also excluding the civilization in the Asia and also Africa, right? So it literally is the Abrahamic civilization. When you look at the Abrahamic civilization and the language that is being used, it puts the female coming second or as an afterthought. Even the story of the creation of humans, the creation of the Adamites, it shows that the female was a second thought. It was a thought, they were not thought of at first. And so the way things are going, the creators of Adamites decides, okay, let's create a woman. And so the woman is constantly placed second. And even in the language, I was going to talk about it. When you look at, for instance, the English language, the German language, you find that the woman, anything female comes second. It's like there is man, and then there is woman. So it's like if this is a woman, some people say woman. What about the man? You know, in my language or in indigenous languages, you'll find that a man is called mondome. Mondo means a human, right? Ome or mome is male. So that is a male human. I'm going to use the term male and female, but those are problematic. When you talk about female, we say mondo, moka. Moka meaning the female, to describe that this is a feminine and, you know, the human female or the feminine female, the feminine human and the masculine man, right? And the masculine human. So both in these indigenous languages, both beings are humans. And then one is described as masculine and the other one is feminine. Right? But in the English language, we have this human, and then this one is now being described because this is the main. I don't know if you're getting that. So why would we not call a woman maybe like a he man, and then a fee, like a he male and a female, right? So that would be an equal standing. So when we say man and woman, we can have a he-man and a woman. that's equal. But when we have a man and then this other one is coming as a second order, as a definition of the man, it shows the limitation in the language, or the conditioning that this language is putting on us. The woman is never derived from the man. It's the man that is derived from the woman. That's the natural order of things. So the patriarchal system is actually assaulting the female. It's assaulting the earth. It's assaulting the woman in so many ways. We see the rise of the feminism. A lot of people are rallying behind feminism and not realizing that actually feminism is literally pulling the feminine, and putting it under the patriarchy. That means that they want to be, the women want to go to work the same way the men are working, not realizing actually by the natural order of things, the men are are like the day. The women are like the night. So the best time for the women to actually operate is at night. And the best time for the men to operate is during the day, the natural way. That is why we are so, as a feminine, we are so influenced by the moon. And as the male, they are so influenced by the sun, right? And so the kind of what the feminism actually did, it actually took the feminist movement. It actually took the feminine and actually put it under the patriarchy. It literally did the work for the patriarchy. I remember one of the female friends here. She told me that she sees feminism as a very masculine, movement, and generally that is also another way that the feminism is actually a way in which the patriarchy is assaulting the woman. Look at what happens to the female body. It literally is demonized. Look at how demonized the female body is. We can talk about the breasts. The breast actually signifies nurture, right? And when you go to indigenous communities, you'll find that the people leave their breasts. There is no shame around the breasts. But try and make a video on YouTube with your breast like this. The video will be removed. Or you will find creators are now forced to blur the female breast. But the male breast is just out. So why is the female breast, what is wrong with the female breast? So they are demonizing the female breasts, which is one of the most feminine things. The most feminine things about is on a female body is the breasts of a woman. The male breasts are out there, but for some reason it's the female breasts that have to be covered and to be completely blurred in case the people when these YouTubers go to these indigenous and uncontacted communities, the women's breasts are out and it doesn't matter whether they are falling or standing or whatever, they are out. There is no shame around that. The vagina has been completely demonized. The assault that is done on the vagina, we're talking about something like rape. Whenever there is a woman that is coming up to be in their position of power, they are always brought down using the vagina, right? In the time I was growing up, actually being called the name vagina, it used to be an insult. The other thing is circumcision. Actually, circumcision is something that I think it's very sensitive, and I think the moment I mentioned that I am actually pro-female circumcision, everybody goes and runs. But I'm like, why are we criminalizing female circumcision and not the male circumcision? You see the imbalance? Right? And some of the things that have been told by indigenous women, people are still living in the indigenous ways. The question that they're always asking is the women that are actually taking their girls to be circumcised. They're asking, why are we only being asked to stop circumcising the girls? Why are the boys still getting circumcised? And that's a very valid question that indigenous women are asking. But what the indigenous women don't understand is that the people that are coming to stop that circumcision for girls are actually supporting the patriarchy without even realizing, because some of these women that are fighting the circumcision for girls are actually indigenous women whose pain is being capitalized on. A girl went through pain of the circumcision, and without the understanding of the importance of this circumcision, this girl is now, that pain is taken and used, it is actually capitalized on, and they are sent back to their homes to go and fight the circumcision for girls. One thing I always say, that in African societies, or in indigenous, let me call it indigenous societies that practice circumcision, there was never anything like female circumcision. And the way that they have demonized circumcision is that they call it female genital mutilation. But for the boys, it's just circumcision. You see? So when it comes to the girls, it's being called a mutilation. And in African societies or in indigenous societies, there was never anything like female circumcision. It was just circumcision. In my language, it's called nzaiko. There is no word that is special for boys and special for girls. So when you look at something like this, circumcision is a very controversial topic, and I am always careful talking about this, because the moment I say it, everybody is running. But before you run, ask yourself, why is the circumcision for girls being demonized and criminalized and not for boys? It's the same patriarchal patterns of criminalizing female bodies, criminalizing anything that is coming, that is giving the women power. Anything that is empowering the women, it's criminalized. And circumcision, for your information, I've done a lot of research on this. It is a very empowering practice. It literally prepares a woman, a girl, and helps her body to pass into womanhood. So many people cannot understand this. People cannot understand this because they see it just as a cut. But there is so many elaborate things that go into that rite of passage. And when this girl goes through this, you will find, I've come across women that have gone through, these are powerhouses. These really embody the full power that is feminine power. But that is the one thing that the colonizer or the patriarchy will constantly fight. Ask yourself, why? Why? And that is actually an assault on the female body. The hair of the women has been so demonized. The biggest insecurities that women have to do with their hair. You will not hear any of insecurities and anything to do with male hair. It's just the female hair, but that is power. That is feminine power. Aging is something else that has been demonized in this consciousness. The aging that everybody is trying to look young. Yet the power, listen to this, the matriarchs are the old women. So why has aging been demonized? It's because there is power there. There is power in aging, and actually rites of passages like circumcision and other rites of passage. But circumcision is not the only painful things that people go through that it's like when you want to, you can tell your mind something, but your body will not take note. For the body to take notes, for the cells to take notes, there has to be a ritual. And sometimes it needs to be a painful ritual for your body to know, now we have transitioned to this thing. And it was so important. Aging and moving towards the ages was so important in a matriarchal society, because age and aging has so much power. That's when you really become a matriarch. But we are living in a society where the women want to stay like girls forever. They do not want to age. The moment gray hair is coming, they are changing. But that's a patriarchal consciousness. That's a Yahweh consciousness, right? Aging is not supposed to be demonized, especially for women. It's gold. It is an asset. look at how menstruation has been demonized. The whole idea of us using pads, we put a lot of shame around it. In indigenous societies, women just let the blood flow. It is blood. It is very pure blood. It's blood that doesn't come from violence. But menstruation has been demonized in this patriarchal dispensation, in a patriarchal consciousness. Emotions. Women are, emotions is one of our power. We are able to sense things through emotions. Emotions can even transmute. You can even transmute a person. I don't know, the word is what. You can be able to even get into a different dimension just using emotions. But the emotions have been completely demonized. Women are being told to be nice, polite, and all that, to bottle up their emotions. Infrastructure, the feminine infrastructure has been completely assaulted. The feminine infrastructure is actually the infrastructure that withstands nature. The rounded homes, the homes made of mud. Now people, actually, I take that back. The homes made of the earth, they have been demonized. You hear people saying mud houses, and when they say mud houses, they are literally reducing a powerful house that is made of Mother Earth, that literally withstands the force of nature, different forces of nature, right? So there are so many ways in which women, the patriarchal system assaults the woman in order to take the power. And the most important thing for us, I think, is to not support that. Is to, the very thing that the patriarchy is rallying against is the very thing we have to investigate and know exactly why is the patriarchy against this. And the patriarchy has a very good way of camouflaging the whole feminist movement. I think the intention was right, but it has completely been hijacked by patriarchy. It's now a patriarchal movement. The feminists are literally doing the work of the patriarch. We are in a matriarchal system. We are a matriarchal earth, but we have been put upside down. We are living in a patriarchal system, a very violent system, a violent system to the woman. We need to reverse that. We need, as every person that exists on this earth, we need to take that back. We need to reel that back in. Let's have reverence for aging. Let's have reverence for the body. The body, whether it's male or female, there is no body, part of the body that carries shame. We have to literally change our language. If it means that you have to speak about things and use your indigenous language when you're defining, better do it, or keep that in mind, that knowing that it is mundume na mundumuka. It is not male or female, it is mundume na mundumuka. The last thing is that patriarchy is not the opposite of matriarchy. Patriarchy is literally the anti. It is anti-everything that we are about, who we are. The patriarchy is against that. So in every which way, form that you believe that you are supporting the patriarchy, question and get off that lane. Get off the Yahweh consciousness. Get off the Abrahamic civilization. Whichever which way you can, detox yourself from that and live in a way that is intrinsic to you. Live in a manner that is natural, connected to our mother, connected to the woman.